Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Mike Villar of Growth Rocket. Mike, it's awesome to have you on the show.
It's great to be here, and thank you for having me here. I've been a longtime fan of your show, and I'm thrilled to be here.
Definitely appreciate it. I'm thrilled to have you on as well, too. And always great to have fans that are doing phenomenal things on the show. And what I wanted to do is just read a little bit more about Mike so you can hear about some of those phenomenal things that he's doing. And Mike is an evidence-based, data-driven, lean principle guided digital marketing, product management, and business intelligence executive with over 15 years of focus experience on building and scaling multi-sided marketplaces and heading digital marketing for enterprise level e-commerce and retail brands. Mike has extensive big company experience complemented by a startup career training with and mentoring for companies like Google, Facebook, and 500 startups. Mike has been involved in building and managing teams within companies that range in size from startups with a small cross-functional team to NASDAQ listed internet retailer top 100 retails, all in top level decision-making capacity while managing multi-million dollar budgets. Mike, are you ready to speak to the IMCO community?
Yeah, let's do it. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, let's do it then. So they kind of kick everything off. I wanted to start, I guess, kind of in the beginning, hear a little bit more about your CEO story. We'll let you get started with all the awesome work you're doing.
Sure, it sounds good. So I learned digital marketing pretty early. I started building websites, back in the day, in the GeoCities days, actually. I'm pretty OG. So back in like 1999, I believe, when I did that. So after I started, honing my skills building websites, I learned that I can earn some money on the side by monetizing my sites through affiliate links. So back in the day, the thing was, okay, I'm going to go for No Doubt or whatever band I'm into during that time, right? So I monetized my sites using exist. I'm sure a lot of people still remember them. But from there, it was an easy transition to a full-time career in digital marketing. So majority of my career was spent with a company called carparts.com. They are a pure play e-commerce retailer of aftermarket automotive parts and accessories. Then like many others, I got entranced by the siren call of startups. I worked for two consumer electronic startups and a real estate startup before starting Growth Rocket with my partner. And we actually just started Growth Rocket back in 2015. During that time, if you are a small to medium enterprise, there's a pretty big void that existed between the capabilities of a specialized freelancer and the bigger advertising agencies. Now, that something that we knew we could fill really well, given our experience and our skill sets at that time. And we started with a few referrals from our contacts at our previous jobs. More referrals followed after that, and Growth Rocket pretty much just snowballed into a.
Nice. Well, I definitely appreciate that. Always great to have an OG on, especially having, so much experience and hearing your kind of organic, it sounds like, growth into what it is that you're doing now. I guess kind of pun intended from you being able to kind of build those websites, do the affiliate links and start to see the value and then start to snowball into the digital marketing, support that you provided and now the digital marketing agency and company you have now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, and I did, when I read your bio. Could you take us through what you're doing with Growth Rocket and how you support your clients?
Yeah, sure. So Growth Rocket is a full stack boutique performance marketing agency. There's like a huge emphasis on the performance part. We are focused on lead generation and customer acquisition. So for instance, if you come to us and ask us, hey, can you create a viral video for us that would go and going to be shared by millions of people? That's probably not something that we can do well. You know what I mean? But if you come to us and ask us, oh, I need to acquire leads or customers, with a budget that does not exceed X, thousands of dollars, or a cost per acquisition that does not exceed like Y, dollars, that's exactly what we do, right? So we are a Google certified partner, a Facebook Blueprint certified agency. The team is currently around 35 people, which are split pretty evenly across our three. I would call them our pillar departments. So search engine optimization, which involves the content team, the technical SEO people, as well as our link builders. We have our own engineering team, which is certified for the Magento stack. And our paid acquisition team. So these are the people who are the media buyers, the Facebook marketers, as well as the Google advertising people, right? So up until the mid 2020, last year, we were primarily catering to enterprise clients in the United States until we saw an opportunity to do what I would call e-commerce enablement for small business and startups. So when the pandemic hit, we thought, okay, there's a lot of businesses that were affected by this and they're scrambling to go online. So there was a virtual gold rush, towards e-commerce, and we decided to sell the shovels to those people, right? So recently we expanded into catering to small businesses and startups, and expanding regionally into the Southeast Asia region as well. So yeah, that's just a brief background of what we do at Growth Rocket.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I definitely appreciate that. I love that phrase, e-commerce enablement, I think you said,
Hmm.
just because I think so many times, well, I just love like the underlying, kind of connotation of that word enablement. Because I think
Yeah,
so many times when there's the disruption that we all experience, we sometimes feel like we're disabled, but having that ability to
yeah,
be able to
absolutely.
leverage that, to be able to build and continue to kind of service your customers is absolutely huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and you have those kind of three pillars. I feel like they all kind of go in tandem as far as like helping people to get their information out there, but on a deeper level, like you said, is really to get that growth, to get that performance that companies are ultimately 9 out of 10 is looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Yeah,
correct.
perfect, perfect, perfect. And do you find like they all are in tandem? That they work along the same lines and they overlap, or do you feel like they all kind of stay in their own lanes?
They definitely overlap. I mean, when I talk about like SEO and how it, I would say like fit into the entire marketing mix, it definitely has a longer, I would say like, how do you say this? Like the window at which you would realize those benefits, right? Because you need to build, that organic traffic up, and it's not an exact science. A lot of it is, reading what the Google algorithms would do next, and basically playing along those, guidelines. But at the same time, it varies from client to client. I mean, some clients would not, necessarily want SEO in the beginning, and I understand and respect that. They want immediate traffic, they want immediate results, and we push like the paid advertising services to those people. But we caution them not to ignore SEO as well, because it's better to start SEO now, build your SEO muscle, right now as opposed to the future. Because in the end, what would happen is that if your SEO traffic or your organic traffic, really takes off, even while you're doing well in paid advertising, the effect of that is your cost per acquisition just becomes, really, really good. You know what I mean? It eventually goes into this downward trajectory where, okay, wow, I'm also getting free, customers from organic traffic while I'm crushing it on the paid advertising side. So that's kind of how I present that, but yeah, definitely those three pillars are going to overlap at one point if we are doing like a full scale full funnel engagement with any client.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I appreciate you for bringing up that point because I think so many times,
Yeah,
and definitely correct me if I'm wrong, it kind of seems like if you're like a first mover and you're doing advertising on a platform whenever it first comes out, you can get it for
yeah,
pennies on the dollar, so to speak, but
yeah,
that
yeah,
price usually increases. But something like
yeah.
SEO is a lot more kind of long term, and it could potentially bring in those long term clients if you take care of both of those things in tandem, but really understanding the long term effect that SEO can have.
Agreed. And an example that I always use is, Pinterest. It's a good example of not putting all your eggs in one basket. In the early days, their success was based on the fact that they were able to tap into the Facebook API, utilize the shares and the likes of people, and they basically drive that to their properties, right? At some point, Facebook pulled that plug, and they were only able to recover because of SEO. I mean, but imagine if they didn't have that sort of like pivot or backup, they would have been dead in the water a long time ago, right? So that's the example that I always use when I speak to clients.
Yeah, I appreciate you for sharing that because I think so many times we forget that sometimes we don't own those platforms, even though sometimes you connect with an API, you build something that connects with the API doesn't necessarily mean
Yeah,
you own that information. And understanding like the
exactly.
differences, the pros and cons of each is huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, what would you consider to be what I call your secret sauce? It could be for yourself personally or your business or a combination of both. Is it that ability to, I guess, kind of see the forest for the trees, understand the pros and cons of each, and be able to present that to clients? Or do you feel like there's something else that makes up your secret sauce?
That's part of it, and I think you bring up a good point there. For me, it would be our ability to see the forest for the trees. Number one, because of our experience, we have enterprise level capabilities because of my partner's experience and myself, and some of the team members, which I pulled from my different jobs, and they're currently working at Growth Rocket. But at the same time, all of those are tempered by our startup DNA. Like I said, my experience brought me to a couple of startups as well, and because of that confluence of level capability, our startup DNA, um, we have been able to scale campaigns for our clients with multi-million dollar budgets, but at the same time the teams with the company have remained entrepreneurial enough to deliver that 10x growth potential to clients for all sizes, right? So the discipline that we gleaned from managing large scale campaigns allowed us to double down on what's working, but at the same time the frameworks that we learned through our journey with startups still allow us to have that grit and growth hacker mentality, if we could, still call it that, and be able to approach customer acquisition at angles that, I would say bigger enterprises would not even look at. You know what I mean? The other differentiator that I always, present toward clients is that we are actually a CMO as a service, right? And I mean it in a way where, we are small enough that I'm still very involved with all of our clients. And the way I work is that I pretty much stand in for a CMO if they don't already have one. I'm very involved in the profit and loss of the company. And we are not limited to the three areas that I mentioned earlier. I really give guidance and consulting as well, for any sort of business intelligence or business strategy related issues or problems that the client typically would have, right? So I would say that those are our unique selling propositions.
Nice. I definitely appreciate you for sharing that with us, Mike, because I think
Yeah.
so many times, when you're starting something or maybe even pivoting, you want to make sure that you are, building it for the long term. And you want to make sure that the agency, the company that you work with, or the person that you're even speaking with has
Yeah.
the best interest, not just today, but, 10 years from now,
Yeah.
in mind. So being able to have that partnership, it sounds like, in connection, and really lean on that kind of, the lean principles that we kind of talked about in your bio is so
Right.
huge because it allows you to really grow, scale, and pivot to where you need to be.
Absolutely. We don't intend to keep our clients forever. I mean, if we do keep our clients forever, it means that we're doing like a terrible job somewhere.
Mhm.
But as a testament, I guess, to that relationship that we've built with our client base, the average, I would say, lifetime value for clients so far has been like 4 years, and we're a very young company. So most of our clients have stayed with us since the beginning to today. So yeah, that's very encouraging, to see and look at when I really look back at things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I want to
Yeah.
ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an
Okay.
app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
It's a good question. So let's see. Let's talk about a book first. So I don't have a favorite book per se, but I would say the book that I referenced a lot would be this book called "The Score Takes Care of Itself" by Bill Walsh. So Bill Walsh is an NFL coach, a six-time division champion, and the gist of the book is basically, focusing least or less on the victory and success, and instead, obsessing about the quality of execution and the clarity of thought, and making sure that the team has the right attitude. So I feel like that's something that I set as a guideline for the team. For us, we have cobbled together like intricate processes for each department, right? And making sure that we exercise discipline and abide by those frameworks, and never waver from the processes that we set, will do the trick. If we keep on doing that, the winning takes care of itself. The success would come, you know what I mean, and fall into place by itself. So as opposed to focusing on the victory and the score, we focus on making sure that we have sound processes and making sure that everyone abides by them, right? So that's a guideline that I always talk about internally. As a personal hack, I would say I do this thing called the Daily Three. So it's basically just a Notion board that I set up with the picture of Steph Curry, because I couldn't think of like a more accurate like picture to use. But the Daily Three is basically just like, what are the three must do things I need to check off in order for me to stick a fork into my day and call it done, right? Because being a CEO is consuming. I mean, if you look at the memo that Jeff Bezos sent out recently when he stepped down, that's the exact word that he uses. He says that being a CEO is consuming, and I want to focus on what made us Amazon in the first place, which is to innovate, right? And innovation, right? And when you're a CEO, everyone needs something from you, right? And it's easy to lose track of your priorities. So I try to exercise a lot of discipline on that and list down three major things that I do or I need to do to check to consider my day done and call it a day. Basically, I mean, obviously these three things need to be major things that I need to work on. If it's about answering an email, I don't put that on that three. I just do that. Like if it takes like less than 15 minutes, I should just do that. And I plan that every night before I sleep. So when I wake up, I know exactly what track I need to hit, and not be distracted by anything less important than those that I've listed down on the daily three. So yeah, those are the things that I would think would be helpful for your audience as far as like the hacks that I use as a CEO would go.
Nice. Yeah, I appreciate both of those hacks. I'm a big sports guy, so I love both of them. I haven't checked out the book, but I love the Daily Three and putting the picture of Steph Curry because there's if there's any assassin that's able to kind of focus and be able to kind of
Absolutely.
drill in on what it takes to hit that switch is Steph Curry.
Right.
So I love both of those
Absolutely.
hacks. And so I wanted to ask you now for what I call a CEO nugget. So that could be more of a word of wisdom or piece of advice. It could be around marketing, or it might be something if you were to hop into a time machine, you would tell your younger business self.
Sure. Let me, I guess, like approach this from two contexts, right? So the first would be, because I come from a marketing and a product management background, I think I would, be speaking from those lenses or using those lenses. So for marketing, I would say focus on your customer's pain first, and more than anything else. So tell them how you can help them and ease the pain that they're feeling before telling them about your brand story. So, like I said earlier, as we've become an e-commerce enabler, there are a lot of brands who are doing e-commerce for the first time, specifically in the Southeast Asia market where we've recently expanded to. And typically they are entranced with telling people about their brand story. Okay, so this is how we started. This is what the company is about. This is our mission and vision and all of those soft stuff, right? But at the same time, they lack the focus on telling the people about the product and what they think could help the people achieve success and basically eliminate or alleviate some of the pains that they're feeling. So this is doubly true for products that are competing in industries with low market maturity. I mean, if a market is not mature, people could care less about the brand that you have. It's more about the features of the product that you're selling, and you need to be able to sell that to me in a more straightforward manner. So that's one thing that I could probably tell your audience as well as people in marketing in general. Um, you need to focus first on how you would solve a customer's pain, right, and be able to build a marketing strategy around that before anything else. Good segue to the other point I wanted to make. You need to prioritize data over opinions. I come from a product management background, so this is pretty straightforward to me. We test things a lot. But if you've met like a very seasoned, experienced marketer, those people are prone, to just like, writing your opinions, basically. Okay, I've seen this work at the old company that I was working for, and oftentimes their experience and past success has become a crutch for them, right? What's funny to me and crazy is how there's very little proper testing that goes on in smaller scale marketing operations when we could pretty much test all our assumptions today. You know what I mean? Either you use like built-in A/B testing features, that are pretty much baked into Facebook or Google, or using Google Optimize or Visual Website Optimizer or Optimizely to test landing pages. All of the assumptions that we as marketers have can be tested, right to the smallest detail. But if you operate like in the SME space, you'd realize that there's criminally, very few people doing that nowadays, and that's something that I stress a lot to my clients and my team as well. So yeah, I mean that's probably helpful for marketers and CEOs who run advertising or marketing agencies such as myself. I think those are the nuggets that I can share to those people.
Yeah, I absolutely love, both of those nuggets. And I think so many times we forget that one of the benefits of being able to kind of do stuff, especially from a digital aspect, is the access to that data. But it's great to have it, but it's even better to be able to kind of drill down into it to make those understandings and test out those assumptions that you kind of spoke to as well too. And
Yeah.
really, I almost feel like really great businesses or organizations are solving problems. And I
Hmm.
love that focusing on the customer's pain and be able to kind of communicate that, because I think we sometimes get wrapped up in the things that look good, the things that sound good, but the sustainable businesses are those that are aware of what those pains are and are constantly solving them and evolving to solve them. So I think it's something that we should keep in mind as far as marketers, but even as far as like building businesses, like really understanding what you're truly doing in order to make
Yeah.
the people, your clients, and the world an overall better place. So I love both of those nuggets.
Absolutely.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So now I wanted to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on the show. So, Mike, what does being a CEO mean to you?
Okay. So there is a saying that says the rising tide lifts all boats, right? My definition of being a CEO is being that rising tide that elevates not only your company, but also your team and your industry. So basically, just like elevating everything, right? We internally use a performance management system, popularized by Google called the OKRs, basically, right? And one of the objectives that we have literally printed on every wall in our office is being the gold standard for outsourced digital marketing services in the region, right? So not only am I saying that okay, we need to be successful as a company, but we need to elevate the standards of the industry as a whole with everything that we do, right? And transitioning to the boat, the other boat about like the team. Um, One of the curses and actually the blessings of being a small company such as ourselves is that you can't afford to hire top-notch people right off the bat, right? So for the longest time, for instance, I've been looking to hire like a chief operating officer, but the reality of it is that that budget could be used elsewhere. You know what I mean? So we've gotten into a practice where we look at potential instead, and we've been very successful at spotting people who have the potential and what it takes to succeed internally and externally as well. And we invest in training them. We invest in making sure that they grow professionally and personally. And that's what I mean by rising the tide, and being the rising tide that lifts all the boats. For me as a CEO, there's nothing more fulfilling. Obviously, business success is a given. That's something that you should be, focused on. Like I said earlier, making sure that the industry elevates itself, with your contribution is another thing. But seeing someone who I have managed and trained or have worked for my company, Growth Rocket, succeed internally or somewhere else is very fulfilling to me. When I see one of the hires that they made a couple of years ago make it to the director or vice president level at another company, I'm very happy for them, and that's something that I feel very fulfilled about. So to me, that's what it means to be a CEO.
Nice. I absolutely love that, analogy and that visual as well too. I think so many times we don't realize the decisions that we make, obviously impact our clients, but also impact the people on our team. And if we understand and approach those decisions and the things that we do as if we are, rising that tide, then it
Yeah.
starts to really have a tremendous impact on things that we see. And sometimes we see, years and years down the line as well too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, Mike, truly appreciate that definition. I appreciate your time even more. What I wanted to do is just pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know, and of course, how best they can get a hold of you and find out about all the awesome things you and your team are working on.
No, I mean, I think I would direct the people, who listen to your podcast to our website. We have a blog that we consistently update with content related to digital marketing, SEO, and all the subcomponents that I talked about earlier. It's at growth-rocket.com. You can contact me directly via email at mike@growth-rocket.com. That's it.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much again, Mike. We will have the links and information in the show notes as well too, so that everybody can follow up with you. But I appreciate all the knowledge, all the awesome work that you're doing, the reminder to be the tide and to lift that tide for so many people and in this
Yeah.
world. So I appreciate that again, my friend, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.